Valentine's bouquets come in all shapes and prices, but how do you know which one's best when there's so many out there to choose from? Well, it's simple. 1-800-Flowers.com is your Valentine's go-to. Right now, when you order early, you can get 24 multicolored roses for only $29.99. Or upgrade to 24 romantic red roses for only $10 more. It's an unbelievable Valentine's offer from 1-800-Flowers. 24 multicolored roses for just $29.99. Or upgrade to red roses for only $10 more. Roses from 1-800-Flowers are picked at their peak, shipped overnight to ensure freshness and her amazement. 24 multicolored roses for only $29.99 or an upgrade to 24 red roses for just $10 more is the perfect reward for thinking ahead. Look, make sure you lock in this offer. It's only good while supplies last. To order 24 multicolored roses for $29.99 or upgrade to 24 red roses for only $10 more, go to 1-800-Flowers.com, click on the radio icon, and enter the code WINGO. That's 1-800-Flowers.com and enter code WINGO. Order today at 1-800-Flowers.com, code WINGO.
Hiring? Every business needs great people and a better way to find them. Something better than posting your job online and just praying for the right people to see it. ZipRecruiter revolutionized hiring. Their technology finds great candidates for you. It learns what you're looking for, identifies people with the right experience, and invites them to apply to your job. Right now, our listeners can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/Wingo. That's ZipRecruiter.com/Wingo. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Glad you're with us on the Monday after the Super Bowl. Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN2 as the Eagles are celebrating, and I mean celebrating, their first ever Super Bowl championship, their first NFL ever title since 1960. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. We'll have Sal Paolantonio coming up in just a little bit, and he's a little excited.
Yes, he is.
About what went on. But did you see who was excited last night and who got denied last night?
Yes, I did.
It was Kevin Hart,
yeah, Kevin
the
Hart
actor
did.
extraordinaire. He was trying to get on the stage. He was right behind Darryl Green, the former Washington Redskins great and Hall of Famer who was carrying the Lombardi Trophy to the presentation. He was right there behind him. And, you know, Kevin Hart is 5'1", 5'2", very small. And maybe not everybody who was security at the Super Bowl knew who he was. So he was completely denied by the security to get on the stage. And then he sort of went off on a little tangent on the NFL Network.
Yeah, he
dropped
did.
a few words he shouldn't have.
Yes, he did.
He had an epic Instagram post today, which you can see. But here are all the hashtags about that he put on his Instagram post. These are great. Okay, Kevin Hart, who gives a blank? Fly Eagles fly. Hashtag should have listened to my wife. Hashtag I was caught up in the moment. Hashtag I was super drunk. Hashtag I'm so happy for my city. Hashtag at least I didn't punch a horse. Hashtag that security guard did his job. Hashtag I wanted to hold the trophy. Hashtag so what. Hashtag Philadelphia stand up. Hashtag free McMill. Hashtag Eagles everything.
Wow.
Hashtag we beat Tom Brady. Hashtag blank in my suite and didn't flush the toilet. Hashtag thug life. Hashtag go Eagles. Hashtag I won so much money on this game. Hashtag Philadelphia forever. Hashtag we finally got a Super Bowl. Hashtag I finally witnessed history. Hashtag I threw up this morning. Hashtag so what the Eagles won. Hashtag I'm getting old. Hashtag if blank you, I can't even read that one.
Don't.
Hashtag my friends are all to blame. Hashtag they got me drunk. Hashtag help me baby Jesus.
Wow.
Those are all
at least
the
he took ownership of that.
Those are all the hashtags that he put on that podium, on that Instagram post.
So he got denied and then cussed a little bit. So there were the other things outside, and we'll get more into them as well. But the things you talk about are the commercials, the national anthem, and the halftime show. So Pink sings the national anthem. And for those that were getting on or thinking she spit out gum before that or she was a throat lozenge because she was getting over being sick, and I don't blame her one bit for having that throat lozenge in the last. She's about to sing the national anthem at the Super Bowl, and she's got a bad throat. That lozenge was staying as long as it possibly could until she was going to start singing. So I have no issue with that. And I thought she did a great job. Got her a little bit at the end when she had to hit the hard high note at the end. Got her a little bit, but I thought she has such a strong voice. So I'm a big fan of hers.
Oh, I agree.
And I know we'll get into Timberlake, but out of the national anthem, the halftime show, the commercials, and the singing of America the Beautiful, I almost go to that. Leslie Odom Jr.
Yep.
Now he's a guy you hear in the
He's from Hamilton,
right?
State Nationwide is on your side,
right? Exactly. Yeah. He was with some young choir members from St. Paul. His America the Beautiful was fantastic.
I agree.
Absolutely. It may have been the best singing of all the singing we're going to talk about. Justin Timberlake at halftime. Listen, I'm a fan of his. I think he puts on a really good show, and they try to do a lot at halftime as well. Sometimes his voice didn't seem to be as loud and come across as you would have liked it to, but he certainly put on a show in a lot of different areas of there, and I'm a fan of his. So I enjoyed his. I know a lot of people. I know you weren't as happy about that.
No, I love Justin Timberlake. I told you if I could be someone, it would probably be Justin Timberlake because just to get the handicap, but also you know the millions and the acting and the singing and all that kind of stuff.
Going for him.
It just like the last couple of shows at the Super Bowl. I thought Lady Gaga was off the top, really, really good last year. And before that, you had Katy Perry, and she's just a spectacle all the way around. Now, Super Bowl 50 was okay, you know, because it was Coldplay. They had to have Bruno Mars and Beyonce come back to save it.
Right.
And then Super Bowl 48 was Bruno. I mean, he was just
fantastic.
amazing. Nothing against Justin. It was fine. So one thing I want to say, it was very nice.
Yeah.
It was very nice.
Probably not what he would want to hear.
Exactly.
He would want to hear, oh my God, that was unbelievable. The kid who took the selfie when he went up in the stands at the end, that kid's all over the place.
Selfie bragging rights for a long
time. And then the commercials.
That kid was just on Good Morning America.
Yeah, of course he was. And then the commercials, I wasn't overly excited about many of the commercials, and I love watching the commercials. There were none that you really went, oh my God, that was fantastic. Commercials for a product, let me say that.
Yeah.
You know, the Danny DeVito and M&M's.
I thought that was pretty good.
All the Dilly Dilly commercials with the Bud Light.
The Bud Knight, I thought that was pretty good.
That now has to, give all the Bud Light to everybody in Philly.
Ooh. Yes, we need to talk about that.
Well, I think there's an article, they have a plan on how they're going to do that. So we'll get that. But to me, the best one was not even a commercial. It was basically a promo for the NFL about touchdown celebrations. It was Odell Beckham Jr. and Eli Manning kind of replaying Dirty Dancing. And I've had the time of my life, and the whole Odell Beckham jumping and Eli catching him like Patrick Swayze did to Jennifer Grey. I mean, it was fantastic. And I'm watching that thing, and I'm watching Eli dance in the song, and I'm going, what product are they selling? Where is this going? And it just shows up in the NFL. More touchdown celebrations are coming.
All the celebrations to come.
Wow, that was fantastic. It was great. Eli Manning out there dancing.
It was fantastic. And, they were having the time of their lives.
Yeah, they were.
And you know who's having the time of his life right now? That would be our intrepid NFL reporter based in Southern Jersey, a Wawa regular, a paper-holding wonderful person, our NFL reporter Sal Paolantonio joining us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Get the feeling of being rewarded with gold status at Shell with the Fuel Rewards program. Download the Fuel Rewards app, join, and start saving 5 cents a gallon today. Sal, the most amazing thing to me about what's happened so far is I just saw in SportsCenter they did a live shot with Jordan Renan from downtown Philadelphia, and the streets were clear. I thought for sure they'd still be going strong at about 8 o'clock this morning.
Well, I think people are walking around the houses in their pajamas like zombies. Is this real? I've talked to, 5 or 6 dozen people since the end of the game back home, and everyone has said the same thing. I've gotten text after text and email after email, and everybody says the same thing. Sal, did that really happen last night? Is that real? I think people... There was such an eruption of joy from fans all across the region, from Harrisburg to Atlantic City, from Allentown all the way down to Delaware. And I think people are waking up and realizing it happened, and they're trying to process it. It really is truly remarkable when you consider that the Empire State Building in the city of New York was lit up in green last night. What a capper to the night. It just says that this team was totally embraceable from coast to coast, that people loved this team, and that it had a special bond with one another, and that people really wanted it to succeed.
Yeah, Broad Street was full last night, and we hope everybody was safe. I'm sure we'll find out more and more.
People were safe for sure.
It was fantastic.
And downtown Minneapolis was crazy last night, and I walked into the hotel at about 2 hours, 3 hours ago, 4 hours ago. I didn't sleep. Nobody slept. People were just like sitting around quietly. It was eerie. And I'll tell you this story, and I still can't believe it happened. we're sitting, drinking a couple beers, having some pizza in the lobby of the Marquette Hotel downtown. There's about 250 Eagles fans just sitting around quietly talking. It was eerie. It wasn't like a total celebration. People were just sort of processing it. And in walks M. Night Shyamalan, the horror director, the guy who has, put the eerie in eerie, right? And he walks in, and we all are looking at each other. Is that really him? Are we in a movie about ourselves? Are we actually walking around as zombies in his movie? Is this real? And so he says hi to everybody, and then we all get into the elevator with him, and we're looking at each other like, man, we're in some kind of dream. And this guy is writing the script for us. It was truly one of the most surreal moments I have ever felt, and we all felt it together. Eagles fans from everywhere. We were like, what just happened?
Well, it's funny you put that in that perspective, Sal, as he joins us now on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, because you and I worked Super Bowl 36 together when the Patriots beat the very heavily favored Rams, and after that game, because the Patriots, there's a whole generation of people that don't know the Patriots for what they were before 2001. They were the laughable losers. And there was this guy, I remember leaving the Superdome, and he was just sitting on a corner in Bourbon Street with a Patriots jersey on and a Patriots hat, and just his head was in his hands. He's like, I can't believe the bleeping Patriots actually won the Super Bowl, because they were a joke before then, and the Eagles had always been that, nice try sort of situation. So how ironic that the Eagles flipped the script, Sal, against the team that had sort of flipped their own script 17 years ago.
Yeah, when all of these droughts end, there's a catharsis that goes through a city. There's a celebration. There's the moment where you process it and realize that it did happen, and then the emotions start to pour out. Because it's not one generation. The last time they won it was in 1960. So we're talking about 4 generations of people who have been spelling fatalism with a PH. And now that all is gone. It changes your behavior. It changes your attitude. It changes everything. There's a reason why last night in Philadelphia on Broad Street, nothing was harmed. No damage was done. The place is cleaned up this morning. Is because the outcome of the game changed your behavior. Now you can feel a sense of respect.
Well, let's go to that. Let's just give people some perspective. December 26, 1960, the date of the Eagles' last title. The NFL teams, there were 13 of them. The president was Dwight Eisenhower. The Patriots were in their first season in the AFL, and Bill Belichick was 8 years old. So that's a perspective of these Philly fans who have been there decades rooting for this team. And we had Malcolm Jenkins on a little earlier, Sal, and he said, we can't wait to get back to Philly. What is the schedule? When are they getting back to Philly? And what is the anticipation of just how many people are going to be at that airport?
Yeah, I'm guessing tens of thousands. I'm guessing it's John, Paul, George, and Ringo, size crowd. That's what I'm anticipating. Right now, I'm about to leave the hotel, go to the Mall of America, and cover the MVP trophy press conference with Nick Foles and Doug Peterson and Commissioner Roger Goodell, and then it's back to Philly. And it's such a great story. It's such a great headline. Nick Foles authored a comeback drive in the fourth quarter to beat the greatest quarterback of all time. And so it's a script you can't write. And I think the reason why it happened to this team is they formed a special brotherhood through love and respect for one another, and a belief and a resiliency that they could, in fact, do it. And then a coach who was not afraid ever, not afraid once, showed, as we say in South Philly, the cojones, call it.
Well, yeah.
On fourth down and goal to go and call that play. which he now calls the Philly special.
Well, not only that one, Sal, but the fourth down to keep the drive alive on the game-winning drive that led to the Zach Ertz touchdown catch. I mean, if there was ever a case, Sal, to make the case for the coach to be the MVP of the Super Bowl, it might have been this one.
Yeah. Well, you're calling 4th and goal. You're calling a pass to a quarterback, and in Super Bowl history, a quarterback's never caught a touchdown pass. And you're not only going to do that, you're going to say, we can do this even if you can't, because Tom Brady doesn't catch the ball. The irony of that really, I think that play electrified that team. They went into the halftime locker room with a belief. But, the bottom line is it was a 12-round fight. Nobody wanted to go down. Everybody was throwing haymakers. It was really, in my view, one of the greatest Super Bowls of all time.
It was so entertaining, and the only downside as a former defensive player is a little difficult when you're setting records for yardage on the field. But hey, if you're on the winning side of it, you forget about it really quickly as your crown champion. And one other thing that's going to start to happen, Sal, as we move a day and another day and another day away from this is if the phone rings for Philadelphia, what's the offer they would accept to trade for Nick Foles? That's the next thing coming. One more year on his deal at $7.6 million, and everybody has a price. So what would that price be for Philadelphia?
Michael, I love you. I respect you. I only could dream of being on this radio program on the day after the Eagles won the Super Bowl. But to get that answer, you're going to have to dial 1-800-ADAM Schefter, because you're not getting that answer from me.
Look, I'm telling you, I'm with you, Sal. I'm not sure there's a way he's leaving, because there's
a price. It's just a matter of somebody will pay it or not.
But you just don't know when Carson Wentz is going to be healthy.
I agree, completely.
So why would you do that? Let's move on to something that may be a little more. I don't know. Look, I hear what you're saying.
Listen,
everybody comes with a price.
It's the reality of the sport. We can move on all we want, but it's the reality of the sport that's a possibility. So,
it hasn't even sunk in that they won the game yet.
I know. It's so true, isn't it?
He's such a radio guy.
People are still people are walking around the hotel lobby right now. Did this really happen?
Yeah.
That's what's going through people's minds. So I'm sure that question will come up to Nick Foles at today's press conference, and as soon as I get it, I will bring it to you, I promise.
In real-time reporting, as Sal Powell likes to say. Hey, Sal, before we let you go, there's one other thing that we have to talk about, and we were giving it a little discussion with Timmy Hasselback the last half hour. The decision to not play Malcolm Butler, a guy who had been on the field for 97.8% of the defensive snaps of the regular season, only got in on the one punt. He did not play a single defensive snap, and they said he was healthy. It was a coach's decision for a guy who sealed Super Bowl 49 just 3 years ago. That's an amazing turn of events for that cornerback.
Well, I think it definitely affected the team, because based on the reporting of our colleagues with the Patriots, it sounds like a lot of the players on the team were shocked by it. And, Malcolm Butler not being on the field certainly affects the outcome of the game. There's no question about it. Him being on the sideline. So, but you have to think, okay, people are on the sideline. The players are wondering what's going on, and that had to affect them. But, to me, it's one of those odd decisions that, we'll never have an answer to, because I don't think Bill Belichick is going to open up his notebook on that for us.
Yeah. Can confirm.
Yeah.
That won't happen. Sal, go to the MVP and then go do what everyone else was doing in Philadelphia when you get back. Jump off the Ritz-Carlton awning, will you? Do that.
No, I'll be... I promise I'm going to be on a float live down Broad Street on NFL Live with Trey Wingo. I promise.
All right. Nice. All good, brother. Sal, always good to have you on the show.
Thanks,
enjoy the day, pal.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, what we're talking about there, Eagle fans went to Broad Street in Philadelphia City Center as of Monday morning. Store display windows were shattered. Potted plants were on their side. The Ritz-Carlton awning. By the way, the Ritz-Carlton downtown is where we stayed when the U.S. Open was at Marion in 2013. It's a really nice hotel in a really nice area of town. You can find it on Twitter on Instagram. People were using the awning to do backflips and trust falls into the audience.
That's a lot of trust.
That's a lot of trust for guys that have had a lot of booze put into their system.
One police officer said a fan was arrested for climbing a street pole without clothes.
Okay, that would chafe in areas that I don't need to know about.
And again, they were using hydraulic fluid instead of Crisco oil to grease the pole so you couldn't climb it. And the Philly fans are like, "Gotta do better than that."
Can you explain this to us? Because I worked in Allentown for a few months. I've never actually lived in Philadelphia.
Right.
What is it about the climbing of the poles?
At this point, and now it's the challenge because the police are making such a big deal.
What made it that?
Well, I mean, we saw it everywhere. I mean, I remember Greeny talking about when he was at a Bulls championship one time when he was there after the game when they sealed it and walked outside and walked outside and they're like, "Oh my God." And he said, everybody was up the pole, climbed up the poles, and were hanging on signs and stuff. I don't know. People get up there to get a view of everything, or for whatever reason they do it, and then it's just a challenge. Now the police are saying, "Well, we're going to stop that," and the fans are like, "Oh no, you're not."
Crisco patrol as well. I thought it was more of a Philadelphia thing. I mean, I've seen people do it everywhere.
Oh, I've seen other people do it. Well, now it's the challenge because so hard the police want to stop them from doing it. That I think the Philly fans take that as a challenge.
Well, listen, Philly fans are always up for the challenge, and I think Sal put it best there. I mean, let's be honest, Philadelphia, it's not the most lovable place at times, you know what I mean? And this city and this team found a way for a lot of people to root for them. Yeah. And that was the interesting dynamic that was at play here. And we'll talk a little bit about what we've seen from the Patriots. And I get it, Patriot fatigue is a real thing, but just appreciate what we've seen and what may or may not be going forward.
Right.
Because you'll never see it again. It's never going to happen again. Coming up, as if the Eagles' victory couldn't get any more impressive, they did it arguably, without two of their best players. We'll ask a Super Bowl champ about that and how they did it next.
Hey everyone, Mike Golic here. Support for the Golic Wingo podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. Rocket Mortgage is simple, allowing you to fully understand all the details and be confident you're getting the right mortgage for you. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Mikes. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLS, consumeraccess.org number 3030.
Attention shoppers, clean up on aisle 14. Clean up on aisle 14. Someone dropped a jar of pickles. Kosher pickles.
Beatboxing at a big box store. Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
A red minivan has the lights on in the parking lot.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Geico.
About an hour from now, you could really hear the emotion and the lack of energy and emotion he has left.
Understandable.
After that Super Bowl championship.
Understandably.
All night long.
Yeah, you can't wait to get that when they get back to Philly. I'm going to be interested to see just how many people are there at that airport.
Oh, my God.
That's going to be unreal.
By the way, that's the chortling you hear in the background of the big man, Damien Woody, joining us in studio to give us the Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless, best phones, best networks, no contracts. All right, real quickly, before we get into anything like game-oriented, when you won your first one with the New England Patriots, because we talked about this, the Patriots were never any good until they won that. You know what I mean? They were like, oh, yeah, whatever. You have that crappy stadium up in Foxborough somewhere, which is in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
You guys are kind of a joke. It flipped the franchise completely when you guys won that first one. What was that feeling like?
I finally saw the light. Literally, the whole season, you felt like you were in a dark tunnel because even when we won, we felt like we lost.
Right.
We never felt like we were good enough, that we were doing things the right way. And then when that confetti finally hits you, like, damn, we achieved it. We really did it. This is the first time you could really exhale from the grind. This was when the CBA was different. When you were really hitting in practice, and you like, boy, it was all worth it. Kind of like that Bill Parcells quote. That's why you lift all them weights. And it's like, that's when it hits you.
So what is Malcolm Jenkins and the rest of the Eagles in for when they land in their city, when you went back to your city?
Oh, my God. I think their situation was much different from when we first went out, because at the time, Boston's still a Red Sox town. It wasn't like the number one. Philadelphia is Eagles. Like that town has been dying for a championship especially with the Eagles. So I heard the interview coming in. Malcolm, everyone kept, he just kept saying, I can't wait to get back to Philly. Trust me, Philly can't wait for those guys to get there. I'm still surprised that city is still standing because, I mean, that's big time by those guys, and congrats to Malcolm Jenkins and the whole Eagles organization.
Well, look, it is, and the amazing thing, we had a live shot on SportsCenter, and the streets were empty. I really thought they'd still be going strong.
Oh, they're all getting ready for work today.
That's what's happening.
It was the purge.
That's what's happening.
It was the purge.
Yo, give us this 4-hour nap, and then we're back out again. Damien obviously played on the offensive line, and it's interesting, Damien, because we talked about how the defensive lines for both teams were going to have to step up and make plays. And quite frankly, neither one of them did. I thought the one unit on each team that really sort of went over expectations had to be the O-line for both squads, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. We always say we're overworked and underappreciated, and that's literally the case because the only time people talk about us usually is when we give up, we get a holding call or we give up a sack. But if you look at both units in that game, the Eagles and the Patriots offensive lines, they were fantastic. And we know the Eagles, they have rushers in waves. They bring guys in waves off the bench. And for that Patriots offensive line to kind of withstand that attack from that Eagles pass rush, I thought was really, really impressive.
Yeah, and the Eagles did it without arguably their best or one of the best left tackles in football, Jason Peters. And they did it without Carson Wentz. I mean, we always talk about, Mike, how, the season is a war of attrition. You have to survive. These two teams, I thought, summed that up perfectly with all the injuries that they overcame. But Philadelphia, my God, no Wentz, no Peters, no Sproles, no Jordan Hicks, no Maragos. I mean, the things they were able to do and just sort of find a way. It's remarkable. It's very similar to what the Patriots have done all these years.
Well, that's why, like I heard Tom Brady in the post presser, nobody's going to feel sorry for us. And nobody's going to feel sorry for you when you have injuries. Guess what? Everyone has injuries in the National Football League. You lose a guy, you got to plug in and you got to keep going. And it's really, you really got to give props to the coaching staff, Doug Peterson, to be able to withstand all of those injuries. We're not talking about scrubs here. We're talking about big time players, a guy in Carson Wentz who was potentially the league MVP. How many teams can withstand your starting quarterback, your potential league MVP going down and still make it to the Super Bowl and win it? So you got to give credit to the Eagles coaching staff.
So when you play in sports, no matter the sport, your goal is to win a championship in that sport. And you understand when you're out on the field, there can be plays where you're looked at as the hero, and there can be plays where you're looked at as, oh man, didn't go well there. And the offensive line is usually a life of anonymity.
Yep.
So take us down there and take us to a guy like Shaq Mason, the right guard.
Yeah.
So you get to the play where, again, they're blocking well the entire game. There's not that much pressure, especially from that Philly line, as you said, that can rotate guys in. And you get to the play where Fletcher Cox is the right defensive tackle. They slide that way. And here Shaq Mason is left one-on-one with Brandon Graham, an end who's sliding down, playing D tackle, and gives up the only sack of the game. A good rush by Graham, certainly, but Mason gets beat. So take us down there on the field, amongst his other line mates and amongst him on just that emotion.
Well, Mike, literally, there's no other position on a team where you could literally, you have 70 plays in a game. You could play well for 69.
Yep.
You give up that one, and everyone remembers that one. And unfortunately, that situation, Brandon Graham had a critical play on that one play, the strip sack.
Right.
Fumble and Derek Barnett got recovered the fumble. But listen, you got to give credit to the Eagles for setting up the situation because we knew going to the game, the one thing that the Patriots are going to do, they're going to take out the guys that they feel like are going to be, they don't want to wreak havoc on the game. Fletcher Cox is a guy that can wreak havoc on the game. They double team Fletcher Cox. The Eagles made the subtle adjustment, putting Brandon Graham inside. Mm-hmm. And I can tell you from just playing every position on the offensive line, there's nothing worse than having a defensive end, a really fast guy sliding down and playing in the interior. Because guys that offensive linemen that play in the interior like that, we like infighting. We want to be in a phone booth and just battling you like that. When you get a smaller guy, now all of a sudden he has more wiggle. The offensive line sliding opposite. So it's like the ocean partying in that situation, and it's literally the worst situation you could be in. One little wiggle move by Brandon Graham, next thing you know, he's putting his paw on Tom Brady, creating the sack fumble. And that's all she wrote.
It's tough because just what you said, it can be all the 99% great plays in that one play, and unfortunately, that's just going to stick with him for a long, long time. Yeah, it's a shame.
It totally. You're right. Unfortunately for him, it totally changed the game. One guy that couldn't change the game, Damien, was a guy who never got on the field. And that was cornerback Malcolm Butler. He had played almost 98% of the defensive snaps in the regular season. He was a day late coming to the Super Bowl because he said he was sick and in the hospital. They said it wasn't a health choice. They made decisions that he wasn't going to be out there. Look, you've played under Bill. You know how he is. What did you take away from the fact that Malcolm Butler, who just 3 years ago saved a Super Bowl win for them with an interception, never got a single defensive snap in that game?
Well, obviously it was bigger than, matchups. This wasn't a matchup decision. It was something bigger than that because, again, like you said, this is a guy who played like 98% of the snaps in all the different packages, and the Patriots have a lot of different packages defensively. This guy was on the field. And now in the Super Bowl, the biggest game of the year, this guy's relegated to special teams? Look, really? You're going to try to tell us that this whole thing is about matchups?
Matchups.
I mean, there's matchups going on all year long, and this guy was out there for all the different matchups. But now in the biggest game of the year, now you want to tell us that this is about matchups. Come on now, this is not going to fly. Obviously, this is something bigger, and Coach Belichick is not, he's not going to put it out there.
Well, we're going to find out at some point.
It's going to leak somehow.
Their story was they used a lot of big nickel, which is 3 safeties and 2 corners, and they had some bigger corners out there. But like you said,
you mean to tell me Malcolm Butler's not one of their best corners?
I completely agree with you. Man. Remember, he was a day late because he was sick and in the hospital. So got to the Super Bowl a day late. There's no doubt if there's more to it, it's going to come out at some point to find out what went on. It's an unrestricted free agent, so a high probability he's not going to be back in a Patriot uniform.
Well, he said it after the game. He said they gave up on me, and then they asked why. He said, "Man, I ain't Miss Cleo. I don't know."
Yeah,
which is a pretty good line.
Yeah, it was.
Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN2, presented by Progressive Insurance. Damien, always glad to have you inside with the studio.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate you breaking down the infighting and what went on in 2 units that played really, really well. And unfortunately, one guy's going to be remembered for the one play that may have changed the game. Once again, WIP on the call there with Merrill Reese and Mike Quick.
Love that. Yeah.
Is there anything better, by the way, for a local radio broadcast team that's been together for a long time, like Merrill and Mike, to have that moment?
Incredible.
Our team, our city, our town finally did it.
Yeah,
right?
Oh, no doubt. And Merrill's been there, has been doing games for, I think, 83 years. So,
Which is amazing because he's only 64.
I know. Love him, though. I love his voice. Such a distinctive voice. That had to be just fantastic for those guys.
Well, it's just great. And, you and I both went out on a somewhat of a limb and picked the Eagles.
We did.
When did you start thinking about, hey, they might be able to pull it off?
Well, listen, the first half, it was one of those, okay, they're playing well, but the lead is...
before you made your pick. When did you start thinking, I think I'm going to go with the Eagles?
Oh, I think because of the way, as I said, my whole line of this is how do you adjust to the adjustments?
Yeah.
New England's going to adjust. How do you adjust back? And one thing New England likes to do is take your top players out. And as I said, when they do that, somebody else has to make a play. Well, you double on Fletcher Cox. There's Brandon Graham. That's toward the end of the game, but he makes a play. It's Alshon Jeffrey making passes early. Yep. Stephon Gilmore now is covering him everywhere and does a good job. Well, there's Aguilar getting his 9 catches. There's Ertz getting his catches. There's Clement getting his catches out of the backfield. They have other players, if you took one away, to go to. So that was always my thought is they can spread the ball around. They stay aggressive. So they have the ability to adjust after the New England adjustment to stay in the game. Not to say to try and be right on my pick, not worried when Tom Brady's got the ball in his hand on the last drive. You're going, oh, my God.
I would have grabbed a adult depends if I could find one.
Exactly right.
See, this is the difference between you and me. You based it on your own football intelligence and what you perceived. I based it on somebody else's intelligence. I wasn't trusting my own. When I heard that this guy, Better X, was laying heavy money on that's when I really started to reevaluate things. For those people that don't know, this Las Vegas Better X was the guy that almost ruined a lot of books in October with how he bet on baseball. He cleaned them out. They had the worst October I think they've ever had in terms of betting by the bets this guy laid. And here's a look at what Better X did. he put at least $6 million in bets in the Las Vegas sportsbook. He had $3 million bet at MGM, 1.2 total before. He had a $1 million bet, another high six-figure bet, a $500,000 bet somewhere else. Look, that line started at 5.5, and it came down because this guy who had laid a lot of big money in the baseball postseason suddenly started putting a lot of heavy money on the Eagles, and that's when I started thinking the sharps usually know something. Yeah. And if this guy's going there, maybe we should be on board with him, right?
Oh, without question. Absolutely, without question. I mean, so especially when you have the ability to bet enough to move the line, that's really incredible to me. And that's why, again, there's the big shiny places. Normally Vegas wins, but this time this better X again. Nobody wants to know, he doesn't want his identity out there.
Because they won't take his money anymore.
Like Racer X and Speed Racer and Eater X and, a professional eating circuit going on. But that's a nice day for him, huh? Him or her, whoever it is.
I mean, the unnamed bettor, who took Las Vegas Sportsbook for more than $10 million on the World Series. And he potentially won more on Super Bowl 52 with his Philadelphia Eagles bets. The other thing, Mike, I started thinking about it as we got closer and closer. When I thought that Brady was going to win the MVP, I went through the list, and Kurt Warner was the last guy as a regular season MVP to hold that Super Bowl trophy for his team. A passing yards leader in a single season has never won the Super Bowl. I mean, there were all these things that you can say they're not related, and I can't dispute that. But to me, they all seemed it felt like they were trying to tell us something, know?
And going back to Better X, a record $138.4 million was bet on last year's Super Bowl at Nevada sportsbooks. Many books are projecting that will be surpassed with this year's amount. And remember the billions that were illegally gambled on this. And oh, by the way, according to Westgate, next year, the favorite to win the Super Bowl?
New England Patriots.
New England Patriots.
There you go.
Second, Philadelphia Eagles.
Well, let's find out what New England Patriots are coming back next year before we make that decision. Because remember, it was after both his coordinators left in Romeo Crennel and Charlie Weiss after Super Bowl 39. They didn't win another Super Bowl until Super Bowl 51.
Right.
I mean, it was a long 49. No, 49. It was a long, long stretch.
There are going to be coaches leaving here.
Exactly. Coming up, what's it like in New England this morning? We'll talk to a former Patriot who played for Bill and with Tom. That's ahead.
I just saved hundreds of dollars by switching to Geico. I feel like I'm on top of the world.
Disclaimer, you will not be transported to the top of the world. In the unlikely event you find yourself in the Arctic Circle, seek shelter from the elements immediately to avoid frostbite and or hypothermia. Geico will not be responsible if you find yourself in a cave or crevasse with a lonely abominable snowman, who in all likelihood will force you to play games including but not limited to Go Fish, charades, Chinese checkers, or his personal favorite, Red Rover, send Yeti on over. Geico is not liable for any damages, either physical or emotional.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Stoli Vodka is one of the world's most awarded premium vodkas. With a commitment to uncompromising quality since 1938, Stoli controls every aspect of its vodka making, from planting, harvesting the finest ingredients, to distilling and bottling. This process has been followed for decades to guarantee the consistency and quality and signature ultra-smooth taste in each iconic bottle produced. Isn't it time you picked up Stoli Vodka for a try? For those who know their vodka well, and themselves even better, Stoli, the vodka. Check out Stoli as the official vodka in Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue. Enjoy responsibly. 40% alcohol by volume. Imported by Stoli Group USA, LLC, New York, New York.
On March 4th in Las Vegas, the top drivers in the game are going all in to win the Pennzoil 400 Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series race presented by Jiffy Lube, where the checkered flag is the ultimate jackpot. Make the switch to Pennzoil Synthetics to get complete protection for top engine performance.
Former Patriots quarterback Drew Bledsoe in a few minutes to get his takeaway on what he saw in Super Bowl 52, which was one for the ages. This hour of Golic and Wingo brought to you by La Quinta Inns and Suites. Book at LQ.com and win at business. And of course, Mike, it was the Philadelphia Eagles that came away with the big win over the New England Patriots, 41-33 in Super Bowl 52. Nick Foles, your MVP. And that's going to lead to another big win for the city of Philadelphia, because this all started with Lane Johnson saying, hey, if we win a Super Bowl, I'll buy beer for everybody.
Yes, he did.
And then Bud Light, who's the official beer sponsor of the NFL, chipped in and said, if they do this, we'll find a way to take care of you, Lane, and have your back. So Lane Johnson, the starting right tackle, after the game, after the win, was asked about the whole Bud Light thing.
How are you gonna celebrate tonight?
Probably gonna get drunk, to be honest with you.
You gonna get drunk? Yeah.
Next question. Yeah.
The Bud Light deal with the city of Philadelphia. How's that?
I haven't talked to Bud Light, But, hey, I'm in on my part. I'm a man of my word. So whatever happens, happens. We'll party on. I hope y'all like Bud Light.
I hope you do, too, because it's coming, Mike.
Yeah, and Bud Light has jumped in. They said they would take care of Philadelphia, and this is how they plan on doing it. They're going to celebrate with fans in taverns along Victory Lane. On the day of the parade, which we think is what?
I think it's Wednesday. Wednesday.
They're going to invite all fans, 21 and over, to join in raising the Kingdom's favorite light lager in celebration of the big win. Look for Bud Light reps at multiple taverns along the parade route, where they will buy fans one Bud Light. And they, of course, they say, congrats, please drink responsibly, which you should.
Absolutely.
But so they're going to be along the taverns, along the parade route.
That won't be happening, by the way.
Yes, no. But you're going to say it.
Philly.
So they will be in taverns, and they'll be buying beers for people along the parade route in the tavern. So it couldn't have worked out better for them. Huh?
Absolutely.
Kidding me?
It's a great publicity for them, and Lane Johnson got it, and Bud Light had his back, so congratulations. Mm-hmm. The Kingdom will be rewarded.
Yes, they will.
That Kingdom along Victory Lane, that parade will be coming Wednesday.
Where it will be Philly.
Exactly right. It will be Philly this one time.
Yep.
So that's the winning locker room.
Right.
As always, there's a completely different dynamic in the losing locker room. And look, there's going to be changes in New England. There are always changes in New England. There's always changes after someone wins or loses a Super Bowl.
Absolutely.
I mean, no team has ever stays intact the very next year. But we thought for a lot of reasons it might be head coach Bill Belichick or quarterback Tom Brady. However, you can add another name into the fray in New England, tight end Rob Gronkowski, who had a monster second half and was really the reason that they got back into the game offensively after being limited to just one catch for 9 yards in the first half. He was asked about his potentially retiring after the season, and here was what Gronk had to say. Here was what Gronk had to say. Okay.
Definitely going to look at my future, for sure. I'm going to sit down the next couple of weeks and see where I'm at.
Gronk, what would make you retire?
I'm not ready for these type of questions right now. I mean, I'm just going to sit down, reflect on the season, probably talk to my teammates. We fought all year long, all the receivers, running backs, linemen. I mean, we put all the work in together. So I'm just going to reflect on the season, proud of the boys, and just see what happens.
So that was like a normal answer, right. But there was something that happened before that kind of raised your eyebrow.
Correct. Before that first question about what would make you retire, someone went to Gronk and said, Gronk, we're hearing that you're talking about retirement before the game. And Gronk turned to him and said, how did you hear that? In other words, it took him by surprise that something he had said in private to either a player, a coach, a personal friend of his, someone on the training staff, we don't know who, that conversation had been had, and Gronk felt like that was something that he told someone in confidence, and lo and behold, it got out there. To me, that makes it much more intriguing than, hey, I'm just in the moment here, because this is the exact sort of same question that Tom Brady got after the loss, and here was his response.
I expect to be back, so we'll see. I mean, it's 15 minutes after the game ended, so I'd like to process this a little bit, and I wouldn't see why I wouldn't be back.
Listen, all he said is he wants to play till his mid-40s. I highly doubt a loss in the Super Bowl is going to all of a sudden spiral him into retirement.
Unless others around him convince him.
Well, it sounds like his wife Giselle has wanted him to retire for years, so I don't... Again, I don't think a guy comes out and says as much as he said about playing into his mid-40s, about how well he takes care of himself, about this guru guy he has around him, then all of a sudden, after a Super Bowl loss, says, you know what? Changed my mind. I'm done. Don't see that happening one bit. Bill Belichick, the only way he's not the coach in there is let they trade him, right? He's not retiring. Bill Belichick isn't retiring, in my opinion, and they're not trading him somewhere else, right? I don't think that's happening.
No.
So I think Bill Belichick is going to be back. The eyebrow does get raised with Gronk having a private conversation and then wondering how that got out. For those wondering, Gronk has 2 more years on a deal where it's $11 million hit next year and $12 million the year after that. He's a guy reportedly that doesn't spend his salary. It's all just his endorsement money. Again, how true that is,
cash,
I don't know, but I'm sure he doesn't pay for a lot in life. I mean, the guy has, is living life to the fullest. And I mean that in a good way, and more power to him. I think he's a fun guy who's, oh, by the way, one of the great tight ends to ever play this game.
Arguably the greatest.
I know, and I think he even understands what a target he is. He's had the back surgeries. He had the concussion. He realized guys are just going to try and just smoke him as hard as they can because he's so big, or take his knees out as well. It's very, very, very difficult for him. But I'm going to say, I think every single one of them will be back on New England next year playing again.
Well, one thing we probably know he doesn't pay for is double back wine, because he probably gets that from the former Patriot Drew Bledsoe.
There you go.
The 4-time Pro Bowler who joins us now on Golic and Wingo. Drew, thanks for getting up early with us this morning. If you could, your biggest takeaway from what you saw in Super Bowl 52, the one thing that stood out more than anything, what was it?
Well, first I want to be clear. No, Gronk pays retail, buddy. I am not sending him free wine. My brother pays retail, man. I'm not in this. Is not a charity business, man. I'm making wine to.
There you go. Gronk would hurt you too if you had to give him free stuff. Yeah.
No, my biggest takeaway from the game last night. First of all, just what a game, man! It was so fun, man. I wanted it to go on forever. But the strength of the Philadelphia Eagles going forward is pretty scary. They get their borderline MVP quarterback back next year. They get I think Jason Peters is back, right?
Yes,
perennial
they're expecting
all-pro
him back.
left tackle. Mm-hmm. I mean, people forget what a big deal that is. You lose an all-pro left tackle. That can be devastating to a lot of teams. And now they've got just an embarrassment of riches, because you're sitting there on a Super Bowl MVP quarterback that if somebody wants to trade for him, they better bring in a really nice package. So all of a sudden then there's draft picks and other players and so on. Young team. So I think the Eagles are really scary going forward.
Why were the Eagles able to do what other teams didn't? Well, they didn't hold the lead because New England did end up getting the lead, but then they took the lead back and then came up with the big play. That's usually, vintage Tom Brady New England time. Why in your mind do you think Philadelphia was able to hold that off?
I said during the week, and I did a handful of interviews. First of all, I really like Nick Foles' game, and I always have. This was not a big surprise to me last night that he was able to play at that level. But the other thing that's really unique is when you have two ex-NFL quarterbacks as your head coach and your offensive coordinator, you're bringing guys that have so much experience in game planning. These are not, these are quarterbacks that had multiple head coaches and different coordinators, and they were in all kinds of different systems. So they bring a lot of creativity. And when you watch what the Eagles do up front from a blocking scheme standpoint, they change the angles of their blocking schemes for their guys so much. They're bringing guys in motion, they're trapping, they're pulling guys. And then you combine that, and you got a good, strong play-action game. I think they're what they're doing offensively. The NFL is not a game of innovation, but they are bringing some innovation, which is fairly unique to their blocking schemes up front.
Drew Bledsoe, 4-time Pro Bowl quarterback, former Patriot quarterback, joining us on Golic and Wingo. And one of the innovations, Drew, we certainly saw out of Doug Peterson and his coaching staff was there was no fear. I mean, he went for that touchdown at the end of that half on 4th and goal. On that game-winning touchdown drive, he went for it on 4th and 1 right around midfield. I mean, he was pretty clear, if we're going to go down, we're going to go down swinging.
Well, it's just smart football. I mean, you look at the what the Patriots do to teams, they get conservative. All you have to do is look at last year's Super Bowl. You look at the AFC Championship game. The minute teams get conservative against the Patriots, they're dead, because the Patriots they're just going to keep coming at you. Now obviously, if they hadn't converted those 4th downs, we're having a totally different conversation here about what an idiot he is. But in order to beat the Patriots, and it was again proved last night, you have to stay aggressive the entire game. Because the Patriots are going to stay aggressive the entire game.
What do you think of the fact that the two coaches leave? We saw this once before after Super Bowl years ago when both the O coordinator and D coordinator, Charlie Weiss and Romeo Crennel, left. Now Matt Patricia and Josh McDaniels are going to leave. We'll see if any other coaches go with them as well. But how, in your mind, does Bill Belichick work around that?
They've been able to survive it in the past. It'll be interesting to see what they do going forward. But they've got a culture and a system in place there that allows new coaches to come in from the outside or to rise up from internally and continue to be successful. Then you put that together with with Tommy playing quarterback. He's probably he knows more football than probably any offensive coordinator in the league. So that makes it both daunting and exciting for a coach to come in there. Man, you can come in there; it's going to be a great job, but you better bring it because Tommy's going to challenge you at everything.
Well, he certainly will. As Drew Bledsoe is with us, the 4-time Pro Bowler, and check out his Doubleback wine. It's exceptional, and nobody gets it except that they pay retail, apparently. Not even Rob Gronkowski. But were you surprised at all, Drew, by the way Rob answered that question? He was asked a question about, I heard you've been talking about retirement before the game, and his first response was, how did you hear about that? Which makes me think it's a little more than just, hey, it's the end of the season and I'm a little banged up.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the way Gronk plays, and you look at the way that he's targeted and the way that he's hit. He prepares his butt off. I mean, people see his lifestyle and see him partying and having fun and all that stuff. But he also he takes it as a challenge. He tries to beat Tommy to the facility every day, and he tries to be the hardest working guy on the team. And it's something that's changing, I think, in the league now with with some of the concussion issues, and then with just the way that his body is treated. Plus, Gronk's going to be able to find something to do after football too. He's got a big enough personality. So, I'd be surprised if he doesn't keep playing. I'd be super disappointed as a fan. I think he's just a remarkable talent. But it's also something that I think we've already seen it with some younger players in the league. And it may be something that continues to happen for certain guys, particularly if they've sustained a lot of injuries.
Drew, did you see any issue with either of the controversial touchdowns catches for the Philadelphia Eagles between Corey Clement and Zach Ertz?
The first one I kind of thought they were going to overturn.
You weren't alone there.
Yeah, I was sort of surprised. The second one. It was so reminiscent of the Steelers play, which I totally disagreed with in the playoff game. But thankfully, I think they made that call the right way. The guy catches the ball, takes 3 steps. He's a football player. He's turned into a runner, crosses the plane. That's a touchdown. But I do have a solution for the whole thing, and I don't know if you guys have talked about this before, but. It's the 6-year-old rule. I think in New York they need to have a panel of 6-year-olds sitting in a room, and when one of these plays comes up, they just put the play on and they ask a group of 6-year-olds, "Hey, did he catch it?" Like, yeah, he caught it. Okay, well, that's a catch. Hey, did he catch it? No, he dropped it. Okay, then that's not a catch. I think it'd be way simpler than what they're trying to do now.
Well, it absolutely would. We always joke, Drew, whenever we put up the catch rule, it takes 3 pages to put it up there on the screen and 47 seconds to get through. So clearly they've got to simplify it. Golic, by the way, being who he is, went the other way. Instead of a 6-year-old, he just wants to go to some bar and do like a gladiator thing. Thumbs up, thumbs down, catch or no catch.
There you go. I like it.
But
there's got to be a better way, because what they're doing right now, trying to explain all this stuff, man, I'm so confused, man. I just wanted to catch the ball or did he not catch it? Okay, cool, let's go on.
And it's changed completely from when you played, right? That's the thing that's so frustrating.
Yeah, it has, and it just is. And the thing that they have, the one part of it that they have seemed to have gotten right is that they rule things a catch on the field far more often. The thing that was most frustrating, for me, was that sometimes I think there were a couple of times where they'd rule it incomplete on the field, or rule that it was an incomplete pass and looked like a fumble, and then they would and then you couldn't review it for some reason, and we had to move on, so we didn't have a chance to challenge some plays that I thought we should have been able to challenge.
Yeah, it's been too confusing. We had Roger Goodell on last week, and he admits that the rule is bad. The refs are interpreting the rule the right way, but the rule needs to be updated, and we'll see what happens with them going forward. Drew, we appreciate you being with us. I was kind of half listening to that last answer because I'm going through your gallery of photos on doubleback.com.
Yeah.
Looks pretty good to me, my friend.
I think Trey's going to put an order in.
Yeah, well, we'll talk.
We're actually, it's cool timing for us. We're releasing our 2015 vintage tomorrow. It's our best vintage to date. and it's going to go really fast this year. So if you're interested, man, get in there quick. You won't be disappointed, man. It's a money back guarantee.
Oh, I like that. Guarantee. And if you ever want to go old school grape stomper, I'm your man. I can do that.
All right. Yeah, I'm not sure what we would call that one.
Fungicide, I think.
We might have a little trouble marketing it though, but I'll keep you in mind.
Don't let his toes anywhere near your grapes. Trust me, everybody wins in that scenario.
Thanks, Drew.
Drew, we appreciate you being with us. Thanks, man.
Right on. Thanks, guys.
Hey everyone, Mike Golic here. Support for the Golic Wingo podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. With Rocket Mortgage, you can apply simply and understand fully so you can mortgage confidently. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Mikes. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLS consumeraccess.org number 3030.
Hey there, I'm a glue stick, so I have one job. I glue kid stuff. So sorry for being jealous of Geico, who does a ton more, like give you 24/7 access to thousands of licensed agents. And Geico has been around for over 75 years and has a 97% customer satisfaction rating. While I've just got mediocre adhesive skills, Geico also has an award-winning mobile app. Uh-oh, arts and crafts time. No eating the glue stick, Miss Lydia!
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
Philadelphia free from that shackle of not ever having won a Super Bowl anymore. That is in the books. Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN2. Presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests join us via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. And, Mike, I think that's the weirdest thing about this. Philadelphia is a city, if you're not from there, not many people like it. Those guys are crazy. Somehow this team became very beloved by 31 other fan bases.
Well, it does.
NFL.
You have the rising star, obviously, in Carson Wentz, who was going to be the MVP this year. And they love their blue-collar players.
Yep.
The blue-collar workers, guys that go out there and with that grit and just play hard. And that's what this team is full of. A lot of them. There are obviously some great players on the team, but there's a lot of different players that you can go to that can make plays. And those fans appreciate that. And, boy, they're going to show their appreciation. They did last night, certainly in celebrating. But when that team lands today, that airport is going to be a madhouse.
Absolutely. And the parade is going to be Wednesday. And we'll see what happens when all that goes through Broad Street and the rest of downtown Philly. But, of course, we've already had the chance to speak to one of the Super Bowl champs. We had safety Malcolm Jenkins on earlier today. And the first thing I asked him if he could put into words just how he felt when this game was finally over and he knew that he had done it.
That last play, they threw that ball up and it kind of got bounced around a little bit, but when it hit the ground, I think you can see all of the defenders kind of pause for a second, had to kind of look up at the clock and realize like we had just become world champions in the season that we just finished out, the way it started, the amount of things we've had to fight through, the amount of trust that we've had to have in each other throughout the year. It's just an amazing feeling.
And to take people there, Malcolm, that last play, like you said, everybody sees the 6'6" Gronk with the ball going up and while he's the closest receiver. And then the convergence of defensive players on the ball was incredible. But just take us through that play when the ball's in the air for those of us that will never be in that position.
Yeah, for us, we've talked about these type of situations all year. And rarely do you come across them, and especially with this much on the line. But with that ball in the air, it's just like everything's in slow motion. You obviously see Gronk. Everybody goes for the ball, and when the ball doesn't immediately hit the ground, like your heart drops. You're just hoping nobody catches the tip, and it hits the ground, and everything just catches back up to speed, and it just all sets in that we just did it. We just finished and put the exclamation point on the entire season. We're world champions, and now the countdown is for us to get back to Philly as fast as possible and join the celebration.
Malcolm Jenkins with us here after a Super Bowl win over the New England Patriots. I got to say, watching that play, the first thing I thought of was that scrum play against the Falcons last year where somehow Julian Edelman came up with that catch. I was like, oh, my gosh, are they going to do it again? But they didn't. They didn't, Malcolm. You guys won it.
They did it.
Just so people understand, take us through what your life has been from the game to doing this interview right now, because I don't think a lot of people understand that you are probably completely sleep deprived. I could tell you a million things, and your brain would probably believe it just because the disconnect between body and soul is probably pretty crazy right now.
Yeah, we hadn't been asleep yet. We obviously had the celebration on the field right after the game. That took a while. We got in the locker room and partied some more.
Yeah,
we left
you did.
the locker room and immediately went to the after party. And then just got back to the hotel maybe an hour ago. And we probably won't go to sleep until we get on this plane, or probably until tomorrow. So we're on cloud nine right now, man. Like I said, everything, we're just trying to get back to Philly as fast as possible. We know that they are partying like never before, and we are trying to get back to that.
Super Bowl champion Malcolm Jenkins, Eagle safety, joining us on Golic and Wingo, and that's got to be a nice ring to it to hear the Super Bowl champion part. So in this game, it took all the way until that 33-32, 9 minutes to go in the game, when all of a sudden New England got the lead. So take us now to the mentality of you guys held the lead, and this was a game where both defenses we know gave up a lot of yards, and now New England takes the lead. So what was the talk on the sideline?
Well, the biggest thing is, our offense was rolling, and we didn't expect them to slow down. They took the lead when New England's defense actually got a stop, and our defense was talking the entire second half like we just need one stop. One stop would win us the game, and we didn't get that stop until the end. And when our offense took the lead late in the game, we realized that was our time, that we were going to be on the field for our entire team and our entire season. And nobody doubted anything. Nobody batted an eye. We didn't have to have a big huddle or rallying point. Everybody understood what the time was and what needed to be done. And we stepped up. We knew that play was going to come, and somebody was going to be the hero. Somebody was going to go down in history. And that player just happened to be Brandon Graham and Derek Barnett scooping up that fumble. And that was the play we needed, the one stop that we needed on defense to get us a world championship. And what we wouldn't write the script any better.
Well, look, man, Malcolm Jenkins with us. Don't sell yourself short, man. Let's just make people understand about you. You started your career in New Orleans, a team that had never won anything in their 42 years, and then you guys upset Peyton Manning and the Indianapolis Colts in Super Bowl 44 to take them down 31-17, and now you end a 56-year drought with the Philadelphia Eagles. So you can talk about everybody else, but it's pretty clear, Malcolm Jenkins, you're the reason the Eagles won the game. I mean, that's obvious.
I'm starting to see a little trend there.
There it is. There it is.
Nah, I mean, it's one of those things. I've been blessed to be a part of some amazing teams. That team in New Orleans, to bring that Super Bowl to that city when it had never even been to the Super Bowl was amazing. My first year in the league, but this one is something special. To be able to be a leader on this team, to be a key contributor in all the things that we've went through this year. To bring it back to the city of Philadelphia is something special. When I came here, all I could ever think about was what this parade would look like when we won this Super Bowl. And I'm so excited to take part in that.
Again, Malcolm Jenkins joining us, Eagle safety, Super Bowl champion. And on a personal note, most of my career was with the Eagles, and I of a 9-year career, 6 were there, and we never got to the Super Bowl. So I can't tell you how happy I am for you guys to get there, just like what you said, for those fans, because those fans are fantastic. And also another feeling I never felt in 9 years was the clock hitting zero, and just the emotion that you would have with your teammates. I try and explain all the time that you spend so much time with your teammates throughout the season. If you could take us on the field and in the locker room, and just how it was with you and your teammates when you got the ultimate goal in team sports.
Man, I probably broke down about 5 times on the field. It's just when that clock hits zero and that confetti is in the air, and you just take the time to soak in the environment, and you realize that all that you've sacrificed, all that you've put in for an entire year, has been worth it. And you've reached the mountaintop. That mountaintop experience is like nothing else that you can find. And then to get in that locker room and to just celebrate with everybody, from the equipment managers to the practice squad players to coaches, players, it's an amazing feeling. And it's one that every team in this league scratches and scrapes for to get to. And only one team gets to enjoy that at the end of the year. And we are blessed and grateful to be able to be that team to celebrate that at the end of the year.
Well, look, man, go celebrate it, because we're looking at pictures in Philadelphia of people doing backflips off the awning of the Ritz-Carlton Hotel. They are clearly ready to see you guys and enjoy yourself. Malcolm, I know you're a little sleep-deprived right now, but congratulations.
Yes,
enjoy
absolutely.
it. What a special moment. And every dog has their day. And the dogs in Philadelphia came through one of the biggest upsets in Super Bowl history.
Congrats, man.
Just amazing.
Thank you.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing what we saw.
Listen, I'm jealous every year of hearing that, and we're going to try and get tomorrow, hearing Jason Kelce, their center.
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
Of just what it means when you're with a group of people for as long as you are, and you have one goal in mind, and you achieve it, and just what that's like. And I'm jealous every single year when that Super Bowl winning team, that clock hits zero, and they just look at one another, and the realness in the hugs and the I love yous out there is incredible.
You know, real quickly, I was reminded after I did when you said that, I was after doing postgame Super Bowl 43 when the Steelers beat the Cardinals 27-23, and I was in there getting Ben and a couple of other people. Then Mitch Berger, who was the punter, got me, hey, congratulations, and he clearly wanted to talk. So we put the camera, and he went on for like 10 minutes, this diatribe of, you know, the people that believed in him, all this kind, and none of it made air. But
right.
You know, he just couldn't stop. I mean, he couldn't stop talking about how much this meant to him, and, you know, all this stuff, and the people that believed in him, and all the, you know, he was going to. To your point, it's an amazing feeling, because it is so incredibly hard in a sport like football to stay together and stay healthy and do this thing once. And again, that's what makes what the Patriots have done so ridiculously remarkable, that they've managed to do it so many times.
I think we're going to find out at some point. Again, he was a day late to the Super Bowl, said he was sick and in the hospital, doesn't played 98% of the snaps this year. There is going to be more coming out, whereas we're finding out there are players that weren't happy about it. We'll get in more into this. I'm sure more will come out today. We'll talk about it more tomorrow as well.
There's just no way, depending on matchups or whatever, that you don't take one snap after playing 98%.
He's played in about so many of the different defensive, systems that they put in. So, I do think it's going to be something more, and I would imagine at some point we'll find out.
And we'll find out about it again for sure. But here's how improbable this was. Forget the fact that the Eagles were playing with their backup quarterback. Forget the fact that they were the underdogs and it was the Patriots they were playing against. Here's what happened. By the way, Malcolm Butler was not the only guy that didn't play in that game.
Yeah.
Patriots punter Ryan Allen did not punt. Not one. There was only one punt in the game. It was by the Eagles punter. He did hold, though.
He was on the field. He did hold, but yes.
And there was a bad hold on a bad snap.
And a bad snap, but he did not punt.
If I had told you this ahead of time, Tom Brady would throw for 500 yards and 3 touchdowns. The Patriots would have 3 receivers with over 100 yards. The Patriots would average more than 5 yards per rush and have 113 yards on the ground. The Patriots would not punt, and the Eagles would miss an extra point and 2 two-point conversions. Would there have been any way in your mind that you would have thought the Eagles could have won that game?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely, positively not. That's why stats can be deceiving.
Well, or just irrelevant at some point.
Yep.
Look, some things are just meant to be. And I think you and I both felt that as we were down there for that week. I mean, the people in that stadium were clearly 4-5-1.
Right.
Eagles fans over Patriots fans. They were everywhere in Minneapolis. Yep. You saw 8 Eagles jerseys as opposed to 1 Patriots jersey. And it just sort of built to this crescendo, you know? I mean, the same thing could have happened in Super Bowl 50. The Carolina Panthers were the highest scoring team in football.
Right.
And they only scored 10 points against the Denver Broncos. And the Broncos' first touchdown was a defensive play, and they didn't get another touchdown until another turnover inside the 5-yard line.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just get the feeling things were meant to be.
Yeah, I'll separate there. I'm not a meant to be guy.
You're not with me on that one?
I'm not a meant to be guy. No.
I'm setting it up for you to be with me on this, and you just shatter me like I shattered that
I did. I am not a meant to be guy at all. I'm not a fate guy at all. I just think, and I think you do as well, looking at the football side of it, I think that Eagles were a better team all the way around.
They played better.
And I think in breaking down the game, they had other areas to go, where New England is so good at taking away aspects of your game that Philly is so well-rounded, they had other places to go. Alshon Jeffrey hurt New England early. They shut him down with Stephon Gilmore. All of a sudden took him, and that was it. Well, then Aguilar's catching balls. Ertz is catching balls. Clement's catching balls out of the backfield. They had other places to go. You're doubling Fletcher Cox. They don't get the pressure they normally get. It's Brandon Graham that gets the sack fumble at the end. Somebody else step up. They have other people to step up. And they're an aggressive team. You know, that's Doug Peterson.
They
take
were
the
on
personality
Sunday.
of a coach. They're aggressive. They don't sit back with a lead. They go forward with a lead, even though they lost this lead. They got it back and they held it, and they're aggressive. That's the reason they won. And it's a team, Trey, that is put together to stay together right now for a while. From a contract situation, they're in pretty good shape.
I believe the only starter not under contract for 2018 is Nigel Bradham.
Yeah.
21 of their 22 starters are locked in.
Wow.
And oh, by the way, let's talk about this one. Their salary cap with their quarterbacks, Nick Foles and Carson Wentz combined under $15 million.
For both.
14.9. There are 18 quarterbacks in the NFL whose salary cap hit next year is more than Foles and Wentz combined.
Together.
That's why I don't think they're going anywhere, because
I agree.
You know, keep that guy there, and you're all set up in case you have another emergency, and you don't know.
Right.
Carson Wentz was hurt in December. You just don't know if he'll be ready to go week 1 of the regular season. All right, that's it for a Super Bowl Monday. Coming up tomorrow, more fallout from the Eagles' Super Bowl win, more information about the Malcolm Butler benching. Some things are beginning to trickle out, and it's interesting. And Todd McShay will join us in studio with a new mock draft.
Mock draft.
Philadelphia, enjoy the hell out of it. It's been a long time coming.
Congrats.
Attention shoppers, clean up on aisle 14. Clean up on aisle 14. Someone dropped a jar of pickles. Pickles. Kosher pickles.
Beatboxing at a big box store. Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
A red minivan has the lights on in the parking lot.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Geico.